More questions, Jonathan?
It'll be a tiny bit useful.
Thank you. So, I am excited that this, how was that? Probably the only American that knows about supervision.
True.
I see Robert going like, I don't know about that.
I do. We'll talk, Robert. Should I be using this?
You're probably going to be using this one. And that's a good moment for me to say thank you. Enjoy it. He's really good, actually. And he has also very challenging thoughts.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome. Make sure this is working. Okay, good. That's me. I'm Jonathan. I do a bunch of stuff, all coaching related. Yeah, that number's right. 13,200 hours of coaching experience since 1997. Excited about what coaching makes possible. I fully believe that the world needs what coaches bring to the table. At this moment, maybe more than ever before. My first career was in the broadcasting business. And in that line of work, I was a news anchor. In that line of work, I spent all day, every day, talking about somebody's worst day, their worst decision. And it weighed on me. I paid a price for that. I'm 15 years sober as a result of the things that I covered in the news world and a whole bunch of other stuff. I have a long depression history. I'm telling you, I'm giving you a really clear picture of what you got to look forward to. I diffuse things with humor as well, but that story of constantly focusing on what's wrong in the world was something that I fled from. Coaching does exactly the opposite. This is an opportunity for us to spend all day, every day, calling out the best of the people around us. So I want to start this morning with some of the best of what I have. This is my family. Pick out the one that doesn't have German heritage. It's my wife Joy, my daughter Julia, my future son-in-law in about 4 weeks, Joe. Yeah, excited about that. So that's where I come from. That's the good thing that begins every day for me. And every time I have a speaking engagement in a country where English is not the core language, I begin by apologizing. I'm sorry, I'm one of the 40% of the people in the world who is monolingual. You know the old joke, what do you call someone who speaks 2 languages? Bilingual. What do you call someone who speaks 3 languages? Trilingual. What do you call someone who speaks 1 language? Not too proud to admit. In fact, I looked for statistics for what percentage of Americans are bilingual or multilingual. Could not find a reliable number. That's how low it is. So here's what it looks like in the UK, just for point of comparison. Many younger leaders in the UK have that global sense and that ability to speak more than 1 language. That is a trend that is changing things for all of us that we'll have to pay attention to. The world is getting smaller. Technology, AI, coaching is making the world smaller on a consistent and regular basis. And this is a trend that if we don't pay attention to, we're going to have a big challenge in front of us. Because lots of other things are up for grabs. News story from day before yesterday. The biggest companies across America and around the world are cutting their workforces. In case you can't read what that headline says, there's a growing belief that too many employees will slow a company down. Yikes. And here's the scary part. Anyone on the payroll could be working harder. Yeah. Translation? Do more. With less. Or at least the same. This begins to explain, I think, why we are fascinated, why we are fixated on productivity expansion with tools like technology. And Forbes, 2 days ago, jumped on that bandwagon 20 game-changing AI tools that every small business leader should know. But the very day before, they had this article. This existential threat calls for philosophers, not AI experts. In the same publication, within 24 hours of publication, these two articles, completely different ends of the spectrum. I'm going to summarize this article. It basically said that dependence on AI is beginning to show a significant reduction in thinking skills for anyone of any age. Now, on the surface, after talking about AI, and this is actually my 25th ICF chapter I've spoken to AI, a topic of AI about over the last 2 years. The number one question I've heard about AI is, how can anyone think software can do what I can do? Well, that sounds like it's a good argument for staying away from some of these tools. But when you read a little bit further into the article, and when you look at the other sources that are around this particular topic, it might be pointing to something a little bit different. And I think that's an especially powerful challenge for us as coaches, because let's be honest, coaching is at a little bit of a crossroads too. We're changing. The presence of AI is challenging us to keep focused on exactly what is it that this coaching conversation does. I can't help wondering, this is Jonathan's theory. I have no facts to base what I'm about to say on, but this is Jonathan's theory. I think we're getting a holistic view of what coaching does and what it's capable of. That's probably going to cause us to look in the mirror and decide whether or not what we've always done as coaches is actually delivering the results that we're hoping for. I'm just going to ask you, in your practice, how confident are you that what you do in working with clients is actually producing the optimal result for those clients? Just sit with that for a minute. In fact, let me invite you to turn to your neighbor and ask this question. Exactly what problem or problems are we solving by inviting AI into the coaching process? What actually are we fixing? Just take a minute and a half and solve this problem. Then we'll come back. The challenge, the problem we're looking to solve. I'll give you one sentence. Anybody want to take a shot at summarizing the problem we're looking to solve? Sir.
Information deficits as coaches.
Information deficits as coaches. Our information? Okay. All right. Good. Anybody else? Tim? What problem are we solving? Scale. There you go. Scale. Yes.
Clients only coming with the big problems. AI can start way earlier.
Clients only coming with the big problems, and AI can start earlier. I love it. One more?
Maybe adding to that one, jumping the hurdle to start coaching. A lot of people are still afraid or hesitant to start coaching. AI can be a tool to give it a try and then think, wow, how powerful could it be if I have someone personally working with
Yeah.
and construction.
One of the most creative uses I've seen for an AI coach bot is, I know an organization, a large organization. Most of you have patronized this organization. I'm going to speculate without naming names. But you probably bought books or something online from them. They have a bot that they deploy for candidates for coaching inside of the organization. They roll it out at 150 or 180 candidates at a time, knowing that 20 of them are going to get human coaches. And it's a qualifier for who actually gets to work with the human coach. It's a fascinating way to build that ramp up along those lines. All right, how about one more? In the back.
Immediacy.
Immediacy. Say more about what you mean by that.
So immediacy, speed, this now culture. I want it now, I want it now.
How many of you have had a call from a client at 3 a.m.? Oh, I want to hear that story at the break. Because I've never had a call at 3 a.m., but I've had one at 11 p.m. So, but that's the kind of thing that a bot could help address this. Daniel has had a call at 3, or he has called you at 3 a.m.
No, he did not.
I had one lasting until 5 a.m.
Okay, a call at 3 a.m. that lasted till 5 a.m. A bot could help with that. Just saying. I think it's notable to start thinking creatively about the problems that AI can help us solve, especially in light of how people are using AI. You've probably seen this Harvard Business Review study about how people are really using generative AI in 2024 compared to 2025. The really, in my opinion, the most interesting insight for us as coaches comes from comparing the two. Let's look at the list for 2024. These are the broad topics. These are not the specific tasks. These are the broad topics. All right, that's interesting. Content creation, technical assistance, professional and personal support, personal and professional support. Okay, now let's look at 2025. Look at the big difference. Personal and professional support exploded. All of a sudden, people are using AI. There's a familiarity, there's comfort, there's a safety that's allowing more personal developmental topics to be put on the table. This is from a large-scale cross-sectional survey showing that, you know what, people are revealing themselves to these tools in ways that matter. Now, that flies in the face of, first of all, how we traditionally picture AI and what we often use it for. By far, when you come to a conference like this, in fact, I've jokingly said to a couple of folks, clearly this topic is on coaches' minds, because this is the 4th event I've been to in the last 6 weeks that I've spoken at, under the heading of Summit, high-level leadership meeting that focuses on the relationship between coaching, workforce development, and AI. 4th in the last 6 weeks. So summits are happening all over the place. And in the other 3, more than 90% of the talks were about how to use AI to be more productive. But let's not just stop there. Let's push into how do we use AI to develop? How do we use AI to get better? You're going to hear from, that's a theme of at least 2 of the startups, Coach Bot AI, that you're going to hear from Ovita, talking about how do you actually get better with the use of artificial intelligence? How do you use it for reflection? Yes, despite what Robert would say, where did he go? Despite what Robert would say, I am the only American that's truly familiar with supervision. And I use an AI bot for my individual reflective practice to prepare for what I talk to my supervisor about, who, by the way, is a Swedish woman. That being said, this kind of preparation can make an enormous difference in what we're doing here. Custom learning. The technology is only improving. Ask Tim Harrison about that at the break. He's got a really clear, sorry man, I put you on the spot here, but he's got a really clear picture of what the technologically driven learning environment could look like. Hello, coach trainers, this is going to change some things. Improved communication, lots of others. There's many, many, many others. And the big challenge for us as leaders in workforce development and coaching is to remember the problem that we're solving. Now, I want to give you a framework over the next 15 minutes that I think will set you up for a meaningful exploration. Tobias Reeves said, we need philosophers in the wild in AI labs and companies that work alongside engineers to discover new ways of thinking and experiencing that might be afforded to us by AI. This, by the way, is why the conference bot is called Tobias. This was inspired by this individual, by this particular quote. Our opportunity is to think differently about what it is we're learning, because AI changes the conversation, whether we want it to or not. So please be ready. Let's dig deep. I'm going to give you a 30-second overview of 1,000 years of philosophy on the next slide. Hey, she said it would only be marginally worthwhile, or what did you say would be kind of worth it? So here we go. 1,000 years of philosophy summed up in these 5 questions. In these 5 areas, what's the nature of reality? What is knowledge? Do humans have free will? What is the nature of consciousness? What is the basis of morality? These are the questions that underpin how every AI works. And I'm going to suggest to you that coaches are uniquely set up to help people wrestle with whether or not you have AI at your fingertips. What if coaches are actually uniquely positioned to be working philosophers, to fill that role alongside of the AI, to find meaning, purpose, and belonging for the people using the tools that are available to all of us, and to, in the process, validate that this skill set that we all share actually presents the hope for humanity that the world needs. I know it sounds lofty, but I genuinely mean that. Let's figure out how. Let's look at a little bit how. What if do more begins by transitioning to be more? And not just be more, but be more with tools and frameworks and support and the entire experience of humanity at your fingertips. I know it sounds lofty, but it's literally what's possible, folks. So what if knowledge, from the Platonic definition, justified true belief, becomes the coin of the realm for us as coaches? What if we pivot some of these common worldly observations, do more, take action, find your individualistic personhood. Maybe that's an American thing. Probably a little bit more of an American thing. What if we could change some of these things to deeper, be more, action and reflection? A side order of collectivism alongside of that individualism. Instead of categorizing things, we explore the relationship between how things work. I'm thinking about a coaching client of mine that was born in India, lives in the US now. And everything is driven by how the people, how the opportunities he interacts with relate to each other. We probably have been working together 3 years before American guy here figured out that was his driving principle. But once that clicked, once I realized that he saw everything through a divergent lens where one idea leads to another idea, which leads to another idea, which leads to a third idea, and by 3 or 4 ideas later, you could be 100 miles from where you started. But it was the relationship that mattered. It completely changed the tone and the quality of the coaching relationship. That shift in mindset, I would suggest, is the kind of philosophical underpinning for AI that we coaches are uniquely positioned to provide. You've probably heard the term human in the loop. When you're using AI, you'll just set it free. You keep a human in the loop to keep the guardrails up. Cheat code, if you're prompting and you're doing something that's important to you, a last piece of a prompt, it's always a great idea to say, ask me any questions you have before you move forward, because you are guaranteeing that we're keeping a human in the loop there. The same posture works for coaches. Let's suggest it's philosopher in the loop. So as a client is thinking about something they might take on, you can function in that role where you help them stay focused on what matters most day in and day out. You can ask critical, powerful questions that put the guardrail around the partnership between an individual and AI, between anything a client is taking on, between your reflective process. You can do this by staying clear on your values, staying clear on the purpose for the technology, and relying on the coach's best skill, which is our ability to ask the questions that no one else will ask. So let's sprint to the finish with that in mind. How is it that you can enhance your skill as a coach to ask even better questions that put you in that position of philosopher in the loop? The basic framework is this for all kinds of philosophy. There's teleology, which is the purpose or the goals. Why do we have this belief? There's ontology, which describes the nature of reality. Many of us are ontological coaches that want to talk about the nature of living life. And then there's epistemology, which is knowledge. What can you learn from all this? And of course, ethics. If we split this back into a coaching lens, we get questions like coaching for purpose. Hey, why is it that you are living life the way that you are? What is your larger purpose? There's coaching to understand or to improve the client's reality. What can you learn that will set you up for more and better success? There's coaching for learning, and of course, there's coaching around right and wrong. If we apply this frame and the coach's best ability, which is asking questions, to my 1,000-year survey of philosophical history, here's some key questions that all of us have an opportunity to wrestle with. What's important about your situation? That's an ontological strategy. What do you need to learn to improve your situation? That's epistemology. We're building this kind of lens. All of this gets trained into your AI models. And all of this is the kind of guardrail you can put up around your client where the technology no longer is the difference maker. Bottom line is, our questions matter. Questions with that lens make a difference. Starting with, what problem or problems are we solving? It's the starting point for all of this. Then we get into those epistemological questions or teleological questions about why are we solving this question. That's a whole nother level. You have to have a kind of relationship with your client before you can go there. If you start with the problem, it's the gateway into those other situations. I know there's a commonly held belief that you coach the person, not the problem. No, you don't. I've been doing this 28 years. I got 13,000 hours of coaching. I've never had somebody come to me and say, Jonathan, I just want to be a better person. No, people come to me because stuff's on fire. Gotta put the fire out first. I know it's controversial. Some questions have changed as a result of the AI, as a result of this philosophical lens. But some questions are still the same. The answers really have changed. Now think about that. Questions that may have different answers are things like, how can I be more productive? Well, I got this AI tool. What factors do I consider when I decide, well, this AI tool will help you with that too? What will the impact be on me as I work? Will it lower my cognitive load? Those are critical. But questions that haven't changed are things like, where do I find purpose? Where do I find meaning? How am I living out my values? The AI can be your partner in this. It's not going to do this work for you. That's where the philosopher in the loop has to come in. Now, last thing before we wrap up here. is I do want to put this framework in front of you, this ISAR framework. This comes from a study that was just released about 6 weeks ago that challenges evaluating learning activities like coaching. 4 levels. Number 1, inversion. This is the kind of support that an AI tool offers that lowers cognitive effort. That's a good thing in some cases. Like, I never met a detail I didn't mismanage. The AI helps me with that. I don't spend a giant amount of cognitive effort on that because I can outsource that to the AI and it frees me to do the things that only I can do. Now, the second level, substitution. This is an equal trade. The cognitive level is the same, but it's really more similar to your evaluation, to your strengths, to what you're good at. Then there's augmentation, where partnering in a reflective practice with an AI tool levels you up. And even at the deepest level, there's differentiation or redefinition. Don't take this picture, I'm going to put some definitions here on the screen real quick. There's redefinition, which levels up the learning experience. In fact, these are often completely new learning experiences that can make an enormous difference. So, intentionally or not, AI diminishes learning, lowers your cognitive load. Not always helpful. You have to choose. Equivalent cognitive load, additional scaffolding, accelerates the learning, or perhaps provides an entirely new form of learning. Now we've covered a lot of ground. What do you do to make this yourself, to make this your own? I'm going to end on 2 notes. First of all, be human. But check the tech. Anybody see it? Yeah, the tech misspelled. There's an E missing, so let me fix that. Be human. Use the tech in line with your philosophy. And think about it like going out for coffee. What's the point of going out for coffee with a group of folks? Is it the coffee? Or is it the other people around the table? Thank you.